Hello, welcome to part 2 of Genesis chapter 11. My favorite parts. I love number 2. Wait, that's kind of weird, right? Number 2, like when you go to the bathroom. Good, never mind. Okay, let's keep going. Like I said, the kid gets to play. This guy in here is like, wandering. He's like, oh my gosh, I get to play. Chapter 11. This is kind of a hard chapter. So this is where the little boy in me falls asleep. It's tough. All right. Now the whole world had one language and a common speech. Oh, that makes sense, right? The kids wouldn't just start another language. They already been taught this language, so they all have one language. This is great. I don't have to learn any other language. That's it. One language. As men moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. A plain. So there's a lot of mountains, maybe hills. Maybe it was tough going, so they find this plain and they're like, ooh, flat ground. I never dealt with this before. So they said to each other, come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They used brick instead of stone. Oh, interesting. And tar for mortar. Then they said, come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens. Why is it civilized man feels like it's got to build the tallest tower ever? Like, any city, many major metropolis nowadays has tall cities, tall structures. Like, in a square block, they have a 30-floor building, 50-floor building, 200-floor building. It's like, it's incredible, dangerous to build, make, whatnot, but kind of cool in the aspect that you got all that space, all that stuff in there. So anyways, come, let us build ourselves a city. And they're making it out of bricks and mortar. Okay, they got some technology. They're doing some stuff. With the tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth. So that's interesting. They're worried about being scattered over the face of the earth. I'm thinking, is this a bad thing? You want to be close to your family, right? Everybody has one language, so maybe there were stories, it's you'll fall off the face of the earth if you go too far, or I don't want to be scattered. I don't want to be away from my brother that knows how to make brick, because I like it when he makes me a brick, because then I can make brick oven, and when I make a brick oven, I'm gonna eat some brick oven pizza. Very good, so good. And then when I make brick oven pizza, I'm gonna try to make a brownie in there, or chocolate chip cookies, whatever. But it says, let's continue on. They were afraid of being scattered on the whole earth, on the face of the earth. They were afraid of this. Okay, some of us can't wait to get out of the city we're born in. But here we go. So they're building this thing, build this tall tower. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that men were building. So the Lord physically came down. The Lord said, if as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other. Why? Why did you do that? Let's think about this. This is His creation, right? He can do whatever He wants. It's God Almighty. He made the flood, and now He's got all of us. We're all talking the same language. We're building this super huge tower and big city and doing these things. And what does He say it is that separates? Why He wants to confuse our language? This is important. As if people speaking the same language have begun to do this, nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Okay. There's no limits on God. He can do whatever He wants. He's made this creation. He made man. Now all of a sudden, man is starting to mimic that creativity, putting his mind to work and creating something, whatever he builds his mind to. He's building a city. He's building a tower to reach the heavens. It must have been, no offense, it must have been a really huge tower. It must have been monstrous for God to say, this is big. Why would it be so bad for them? Nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Only God knows why. let's take that advancement. Now we're still in nations that have separated languages, but we're getting closer with technology. Google translators and all these other things, we're able to communicate across country. And all of a sudden the world is starting to become a little more connected, right, with technology and things like that. And so now we're starting to get to the point where, again, if we can do whatever we get our minds to come to. Now, what if this point was back then? Maybe the timeline for man, because I think he has a definite plan all the way through, right? The earth is still not what he wanted originally, and he's going to make it that way eventually. Well, right now, it's not. So maybe them being able to do whatever they want, or having this one language, allowed them to advance the timeline, right? It was going to be too fast. And so for him to make his next move or next big move, it would have been too fast. So maybe he slowed them down by mixing up the language and scattering them around. Something to think about. That's definitely one to take to work. Like someone, like you're at a party and it's dead conversation. No one's saying anything. This is a conversation I bring up. This is one I personally will say, hey, you know what? I read in the Bible the other day, we used to all talk the same language, and then God came down and saw this. We were building this big Tower of Babel is what we'll find out. So that's what it's called. Big old tower and city made of bricks and mortar. And God came down and scrambled our languages because he said, with one language, whatever they plan to do nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. What do you guys think about that? And get people interjecting, get people's ideas. Maybe that'll help stir up yours and help you understand Scripture a little bit more. That's kind of the cool part about communication and learning. All right, so let's continue on. Scramble the languages. Let's see. Okay, come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they will not understand each other. So the Lord scattered them. Oh, the one thing they didn't want. Oh, they scattered them from there over all the earth. Why was that scattering such a big deal? They found a plain. Maybe that plain was a big thing. It was easy to put a tent up or build structure, or it was flat. You could see your game or prey from a long way away. Maybe it's just you see the town. Like you build this tower in the middle of the plain, you could be like, that's where I need to go. They didn't have roads. Well, we assume they didn't have roads. They didn't say. Maybe they did. But all right, so they got scattered. It's like, no, we got scattered. Okay, then he scrambled their language anyway, so even if they tried to travel back, they wouldn't be able to understand anything, right? So it was a pretty good plan on the Lord's part, scattering people. So he scattered them all over the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Of course, no one could talk to each other. That is why it is called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there, the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. Oh, very cool. Okay, now, keep going. 2 years after the flood, Shem was 100 years old, and he became the father of Arphaxad. Oh my gosh, these names. And after he became the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years. He had other sons and daughters. Okay, so here's an important thing. We're going through these numbers and names. Maybe it doesn't seem like much, but you got to consider. Remember way back in Genesis, we're still in Genesis. Chapter 1, 2, somewhere around in there, maybe 3, talked about the genealogy of Adam. And those guys the youngest, they were like 70, 75 when they started having kids. And most of the time they're like, and when he was 300 years old, he started having kids. Now they're 30, 35 years old. So they really cranked down the age. They're having kids a lot faster, a lot sooner anyways. All right, after he became the father of Arphaxad, he was 403 years, okay, and had other sons. And then Shelah lived 30 years, and he became the father of Eber. And after he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years, and he had other sons and daughters. When Eber lived 34 years, again, in their 30s, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years, and he had other sons and daughters. So they're still living, a few hundred years, but they're not living 600, 700, 800 years anymore. It's almost half. Okay. When Peleg lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. R-E-U. That's it. 3 letters. R-E-U. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years, and he had other sons and daughters. When Reu lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. S-E-R-U-G. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Still not saying when they're dying, right? No, I'm going to assume they're dead after 207 years. Okay, when Serug lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. And after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor lived 200 to 29 years, he became the father of Terah. And after he became the father of Terah, Nora lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah lived 70 years, going back to that old age guy thing again, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, Haran, and Haran became the father of Lot, while his father Terah was still alive. Haran lived in Ur of the Chaldeans and in the land of his birth. Abram, Nahor both married, and the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, S-A-R-A-I, and I've heard this as Sarah too, but we're going off this one here, sorry. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, M-I-L-C-A-H, Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now, Sarai was barren. She had no children. Okay, so Abram married this woman, but she wasn't allowed to have children. That was kind of a problem back then, right? Because they were told to be fruitful and increase in number. So Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and then he died in Haran. All right, so it's funny because they were named these things. So geographically, I was going to go into that geographically, but I think I'm just going to skip that part. I'm going to leave that for you. I'm going to leave you some homework and try to get your mind to wrap around that a little bit. But I think the important thing was Abram. We learn out who he becomes somebody, okay, and his wife is barren, and she becomes somebody else, and it's really good. I think we learn about it in the next couple chapters. Hang in there, I think. Oh yeah, we're a few chapters away from some really good stuff. Not that that's not good. This is good too, but it's interesting to see how everybody's moving around. They got God scattered them throughout the earth, the surface of the earth, and now they're kind of moving around themselves. They're finding better places to plant or more game to kill. Because they're allowed to kill animals now and eat them. Because remember, barbecue. Yeah, love barbecue. So this is where we're at in chapter 12. Nope, we're in 11. Sorry, chapter 11. Hang in there for chapter 12 because we find out who Abram is, or what happens to Abram. A lot of foreshadowing when that happens. So I hope you enjoyed this section, number 2, chapter 11 of Genesis. Hope you have a great day, and God bless you all. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.